cell that we need to know about in terms of specialised cells within the topic that we're doing at the moment. The first one of this is cilia. Now, the cilia are tiny hairs which are found on the top of ciliated epithelial cells. The function of cilia is to move mucus up the respiratory tract, in particular the trachea and the bronchi, to the top of the respiratory tract, where when it gets to the top of the respiratory tract, you can then swallow the mucus and it will kill any pathogens which are trapped within the mucus itself. So the cilia work in conjunction with goblet cells. So the goblet cells produce the mucus. So the mucus gets trapped by the cilia. Within the mucus, you get any particles or dust or pathogens which are trapped. The cilia then move or waft the mucus to the top of the respiratory tract where it can be swallowed or spat out. The next one is a root hair cell. Now, a root hair cell is a classic case study in structure related to function and also surface area. Surface area is one of those recurring themes that come all the way through biology. So the root hair cell, the structure is a projection. The projection increases the surface area. It increases the surface area for more rapid absorption of water from the surrounding soil into the plant. As well as absorbing water, it can absorb mineral ions such as magnesium, which is needed for the plant for photosynthesis. The next one is a palisade mesophyll cells. So the palisade mesophyll cells are found here in the leaf. You'll become familiar with this diagram when we do plant nutrition in a later module. So the palisade mesophyll cells are packed full of chloroplasts. So these little dots here are represented as chloroplasts. Chloroplasts are the organelles which carry out photosynthesis. So it's got lots of chloroplasts to carry out photosynthesis. They are arranged perpendicular or at right angles to the upper epidermis. What that means is all of the cells get maximum exposure to sunlight, because otherwise they'd be one on top of the other, and the cells at the bottom wouldn't get as much light for photosynthesis. And they are all arranged and packed very tightly together to make sure that no space is missed for photosynthesis. So you've got three there. You've got packed full of chloroplasts. Chloroplasts carry out photosynthesis. Therefore, you have more photosynthesis taking place the more chloroplasts you've got. They're arranged perpendicular or at right angles to the upper epidermis. So you maximize the exposure of each individual cell to sunlight. And then they are packed closely together so that no space is missed for photosynthesis. We have got a neuron. So neurons have lots of different fibres. We've got an axon fibre. And axons can be several metres long because they could be travelling all the way down from your spine at the bottom of your back all the way down to your big toe. So they could be several metres long. So they are fibres which stretch out to the whole of the body, and those fibres transport impulses. Now, impulses are the signals which neurons send. So the key phrase here is they have axons and they have dendrites and they have axon terminals, which are long fibres, and those long fibres are there to transport the impulses which travels along the neurons. The next one is a red blood cell. So I've drawn the red blood cell here inside the blood plasma, inside a capillary. So the red blood cell is inside the blood plasma. Now there's the whole point of a red blood cell. So the function of a red blood cell is to carry oxygen. In order to make space for more oxygen carrying, it's got rid of the nucleus. So there's no nucleus, so there is more space for hemoglobin, because it's hemoglobin to which the oxygen binds. So it contains lots of hemoglobin. To make space for more hemoglobin, there's no nucleus. The shape here is a biconcave disc. Now, if we make something concave, you've essentially increased its surface area, because if the disc just joins up just here like that, there is less surface area. Now, like I said before with the root cell, if you have a projection or a squeeze in the middle, you increase the surface area, and what that means is you get a more rapid uptake or rapid diffusion of the substance that you're trying to get hold of. In this particular case, it's for rapid diffusion, an increased rapid diffusion for oxygen. They are also flexible, so they can fit and squeeze through the capillaries. This is a sperm cell. So a sperm cell's function is to deliver a haploid nucleus to an egg cell. So in order to deliver the haploid nucleus to an egg cell, it needs to be able to swim through the fallopian tube to the egg. In order to be able to swim, it has a tail or a flagellum. Now, if it's swimming up through a fallopian tube, it needs to have the energy to swim. So whenever we talk about energy in living organisms, we talk about mitochondria, because mitochondria provide the respiration that is needed for the tail to move. Now, fertilization happens when two haploid nuclei fuse. So we've got one haploid nucleus inside the egg cell, we've got one haploid nucleus inside the sperm cell, and when they fuse together, they make a diploid nucleus, which is when fertilization occurs. In order for the sperm cell to penetrate the cell membrane of the egg cell, it has acrosomes. And an acrosome is a special type of lysosome which contains digestive enzymes, and it's there to digest the cell membrane, or just a small particular part of the cell membrane on the egg cell. So the haploid, so the head of the sperm can go inside the egg cell to deliver the haploid nucleus. We do a lot more on fertilization later in the course. It's a big module. And then we have an egg cell. Now, the egg cell also has a haploid nucleus, and the whole point of having a haploid nucleus is so that it can fuse with the haploid nucleus from the sperm cell. So the sperm cell's head will just arrive just in here. It will deliver its 23 chromosomes. We're talking about human fertilization, so that we end up with a diploid egg cell. Now, the ovum contains a lot of cytoplasm containing yolk. Now, within this cytoplasm are all the nutrients that are needed for the cell to start dividing and turning into an embryo.